Bro, they're non-existent. Have you ever watched someone on TikTok? Next time someone's on TikTok, watch them. Because I don't have a TikTok account myself, but I see people on it. How long do they give a video to interest them? Maybe a third of a second? They're like,
not interested enough, move on.
Bro, that quick. If you don't get my attention in 0.25 seconds, I'm not interested, right? That's how hard it is now. So, and it's getting harder and harder because the apps and the algorithms are retraining our brains to do that.
Yep.
So now we live in a world where if you can find a way to hack these algorithms and you can find a way to get attention, and there's lots of different ways to do that, then you can find a way to monetize it. And off the back of that, you can become a very, very wealthy individual. Just do it all at once. I mean, that's what I do. I've had people come into my office and say, are you on a phone call and playing chess and reading a web page at the same time? I'm like, yes. I'll be reading what I need to read and on the phone and at the same time playing chess. Otherwise, my brain's not full enough.
You need to be stimulated.
Yeah. So, yeah, can I focus on one thing? Not easily. But am I massively successful doing enormous amounts of work? Yes, every single day.
Yeah,
so
that's the most important thing.
It's just staying within the parameters of constructive. If what you're doing with your energy is constructive and you're within those parameters, then you're going to be massively successful anyway. I am scared about the fact that someday someone's going to say, you know what, this guy's causing too much problems or he has too much influence. Can he just... Why would they crash his car? Can his jet just crash? Can we just get rid of this guy? Because it fixes a lot of issues. And then you have to sit and say, is my life worth more than the trouble I'm causing to these people? They don't give a shit about me. They don't give a shit about anybody. So you do get to a position where it's scary. And then you have to sit and decide, well, do I want to sell my soul to the devil and cuck? Or do I want to just shut up and disappear, which is also cucking? Or do you want to live for something? And do you want to die as a name as opposed to a number? People who are still dependent on the system will fight to defend the system. There are people who I will sit there and say to them, look, your university degree is a scam. They lied to you. I will show you how to make money. And their reply will be, no, I went to a good university. They are desperate. No, that degree means something. You work at Greg's, G. Doesn't mean any. Shut up. They won't accept it, right? So certain people are not ready for the truth. People who are ready for the truth seek it and they find it. Well, also, there's no light without dark, and there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain.
Exactly.
And no matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends. And you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. Mm-hmm. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness.
Yeah.
As long as I'm alive, which is a struggle, unfortunately, in the current climate. But as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do. A lot of the time women get in the way. I've seen it a million times, bro. I've seen women get in the way of partnerships like that so many times. Because women don't like you having a strong masculine network because then you don't need them. They want you to need them. I'll help you. I'll be your partner. No, bro, that's the biggest mistake. Don't even get me started. Biggest mistake you can make as a man is trying to start business with your wife or some shit. That's a headache.
Why is that?
Bro, I don't know who I'm going to offend or upset now, but this is how it goes. Because now you got two different battles. You got the relationship you're trying to be in control of, and I got to deal with the business as well. Now, it's different if you run the business and you hire her, and she does a little bit of admin. Cool, that's fine. But I'm talking about, let's say...
50-50 business partners.
Yeah, let's say your chick goes, I want to open a beauty salon. And you pay for her to open a beauty salon. And now this beauty salon, you've put $1 million of your money in it. And it's not open on a Thursday. I'm like, why isn't it open on Thursdays? Oh, I had a headache. What do you mean you had a headache? Bro, I just spent $1 million. Yeah, but Claire's sick and I have a headache. And now you got the relationship, it's all messed up. This bitch is lazy. She thought it'd be like a Sex and the City episode where she just drinks lattes and makes money. And she realized she had to actually do shit. You know what I mean? And it's all getting messy there. Whereas when you're with your boys, and let's say you invest $1 million in something, it's not open on Thursday, you can go to his house and say, what the fuck's wrong with you? Don't be a bitch. You're a man. Yeah. You can just say, look, we need to open. You can't do that with chicks. It's hard. So even now, I've got 45 people who work for me and not a single one is a female, not one. I've said this story before, but I'll say it again. When I was growing up in Luton in England, which is a highly Islamic town, there's lots of Muslims who live there. I was friends with some Muslim guys in college, and they used to laugh at me all the time. One of them was like 19, worked in Tesco and had a Ferrari. I was like, bro, how do you have a Ferrari when you work in a fucking, I think he worked in a chicken and chip shop. He worked in like a fast food restaurant and had a Ferrari. It's like, how do you have a Ferrari when you work in a fast food restaurant? He said, because I got 9 brothers and we all work together and we share the car. I was like, okay, well, why do you share the car? He said, no, you don't understand. I won't use the racial slurs, but he was like, you people, there's you and your 3 brothers. You all grow up, you all decide to get with your girl, you all go pay different rents, you all disappear, all your money gets spread out now, you're taking your girl on holiday and paying different rents, and you're all separate. Me and my 9 brothers live in one big house. If we meet a woman, she moves into the house. The men are all focused on making money, the women are all looking after us, cooking, cleaning. You got 9 men in the same house trying to pool their incomes. That's why we own the houses you rent from us. It's different. Brotherhood first. It's different. You people don't think that way. You fall in love. You fall in love with some bitch and you run off to go pay her rent.
Sure.
It's like a different mentality, and that's why they win. You're never going to be truly happy in your mind if you go against the teachings of God. I don't care how much money you make. If you're a bad person, you're not going to feel happy. I don't care how much money you make. If you snake people or lie to people or do bad to people, you're never going to feel happy true deep in your heart. True in your heart, we're intrinsically designed to do right and do good. And that's something that God gave us. And when you have that, you understand that that's more important than anything else.
Yeah. I don't think this was actually as deliberate as people understand. 50, 60 years ago, property was fantastic for almost everybody. 1 year's wage, you get a house. That house cost 75 grand. Now it's 450 grand. Fantastic. You did good. Absolutely. It's different now that the house is 450 grand, you're earning 40 grand a year. Now it's a very different scenario. So when your parents or older people say, yeah, do property, it was great back then. Now I don't think it's nearly as competitive as it was. I think that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. I think the poor are getting outpriced of most assets. I think that some of the biggest mistakes poor people can make or middle income people can make is chase assets they can't simply can't fucking afford. And the only way they can do it is to indent themselves to a bank with interest and enslave themselves for X amount of years, destroy their flexibility to try and pull off owning one property, and owning one ain't gonna make you rich anyway. You gotta own as many as you do. And what I'm saying is, there's a small percentage of people who benefit from property, just like there's a small percentage of people who benefit from crypto or stocks. How many people lose in the stock market?
Most.
Exactly.
How many people lose in Forex? Nearly all.
All. Correct. So this is the same with every investment. But the reason I'm only attacking property is because property is the one everyone says is safe as houses, good for everybody. No, it is not. Depends on your circumstance. That's my problem with property. In my scenario, or your scenario, how can we lose? If I buy a house for $5 million and I'm never, ever, ever going to need that money, I can wait until the day I die to sell it. Then I'm always going to make money. I go, the property prices have crashed to 3 million. Then I don't sell it.
Yeah.
Who cares? It doesn't matter to me. If I had a mortgage on it, it'd matter. It was my only property, it'd matter. If inflation is 20%, my wages has gone up 1% a year. All this shit matters. Not to me, not to you. We're the 50. But 950 people here need to join the real world and learn how to make money a different way. Because we teach you how to make money with nothing. If you make money with nothing, you can't lose. That's the beauty of it. You can lose if you invest in a house. You can't lose if you don't spend any money. And I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody who's ever bought a house is lost. I only talk about this because the majority of my audience are 18 to 25, 26. They're being told by people much older than them that they buy a house, they'll be financially secure. And I'm telling them that that is simply not the case. And also, there's a bunch of intangible disadvantages, like the absolute inflexibility of the house. I don't know in your experiences, but people I know have spent 2-3 years trying to sell a house. 2 years is eternity. Eternity. 2 years ago, we were locked in our houses. 2 years ago is forever. So if you're going to accept that degree of inflexibility, if you're going to accept that degree of obligation, I think for many people that is a mistake. I think there's better ways to make money, and I think that renting is a lot safer for people. Especially now we're living in a world where a lot of money is made online. I have some people who can make money online. If you're making money online, even living in a Western country is stupid. Go to Thailand. Live for a fraction. Be safer. Not get stabbed. Like, even living in the West in general is dumb if you're making money online, and more people are. So my point is nuanced. There's absolutely exceptions to the rule. There's absolutely scenarios in which I'm totally wrong. It's a nuanced point I'm trying to condense, and I'm saying that property used to be the cure-all for everybody. Get a normal job, work in a factory, pay off your house, be good. Yeah. It's not like that anymore.
No, pension money is not going to be yours, is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like that anymore. And also, what did we say earlier about competitiveness? We said that there are people out there in the world competing with me, and there's people out there in the world competing with you. You're a property shark. You just said it. You're an animal. They're competing with you. Like you can pay more for it and overpay for it because you know you're going to have whatever. You can buy the houses next door and put shit tenants in them. Like if you want to fuck somebody, you could. So they're also competing with sharks. And this is the point I'm making. The reason I'm anti-property is because often it's a 24-year-old guy who just got his first good job out of uni. He might be able to, if he eats ramen noodles for the next 15 years, pay off this fucking council terraced house in Liverpool. And I'm like, bro, that is not going to save your life. You're going to be 50 in a shit house. That is dumb. Correct. I think that if you have a lot of wealth, parking your money into assets in general is good. I think that property is a pretty safe asset overall, globally. It does go through some ups and downs, but property performs, you know, it's certainly a fantastic place. I think as a way to generate wealth, there's some people who say it can be done. That's fine. But I think it's very inflexible. I've always preferred flexibility. I think we now live in a world where a lot of money can be made online, a lot of money can be made from a phone, a lot of money can be made from a computer. And also, this all ties back into the very beginning where I said the ultimate bottom line of the world is violence. Well, if they're going to do it to the whole population, I agree. But if they're going to do it to an individual, I disagree. If you don't pay your parking ticket, they'll take your house. Sooner or later. May take a year, may take 2 years. They will take your house. So my question is, do you own it? This is my problem with property. I own my house. Do you? If they can take it off you anytime you annoy them?
No. If you don't pay your mortgage for 3 months, you'll see you own your house.
Yeah, that's right. If you don't pay your taxes, you own your house. If you don't wear a mask when they tell you to and you get a fine for not wearing a mask and you think that's injustice and you don't pay the fine and they add money to the fine, then it goes to court, you're supposed to turn up, you don't, they send a bailiff, you tell the bailiff to get fucked, they will take your house. So if you don't wear a mask, they take your house. So do you own it? This is a philosophical question and you can answer. Do you feel like you own your property? Because I would argue that you don't own shit. I agree with you. And for me, it's just a philosophical thing where I think that anything that can be taken off of you, you don't own. So for me, once again, you're in a unique scenario as am I. But if you're Joe Schmo, owning it is never going to make you rich in any considerable, serious amount of time. 20 years from now, you might get hit by a bus. That's forever. I don't think that long term. All of my plans are 3 to 4 months maximum. And the benefit of renting it versus ownership, well, you can get kicked out either way and you lose all your flexibility. What's the point? Now, once you're sitting there going, I have $7 million in the bank, I don't know what to do with it. Sure. That's property. Of course, put together a complicated legal structure and it's property. Absolutely. But I don't think that applies to most people who come to me and say, my mom said I should buy a house. You're a dummy. Your mom did something that doesn't work anymore and you're still a dummy.
Thing is, sometimes your parents love you so much they give you bad advice.
Well, they give you the advice that worked for them.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. This worked for them. So absolutely, why would they believe it doesn't work anymore? They're putting money in a savings account and getting interest on the money, like 4 or 5% interest on the money, and then buying a house for 1 year's salary that went up 10x. I'm sure it sounds like a great idea. Imagine it was still that way right now. I'd tell everyone to buy a fucking house, but it isn't. And then you add into the fact that the government is getting more and more tyrannical. You add into the fact that violence is the bottom line. You add into the fact they will take your fucking house off you. What did they do in Canada to the truckers? When the Canadian truckers got tired of it, they went and they protested and they lost their houses and lost their cars and lost their fucking pets. They euthanized their dogs. A man who worked his entire life driving across Canada in a truck, who was a proud home owner, found out very fucking quickly that you don't own anything. It's a scam. So for me, especially as somebody in my situation, my precarious situation, which we described at length, somebody who is an enemy of the matrix, considering that property is the most controlled matrix asset that exists, considering that if they could take it off me, they fucking would, I need to find assets which are very, very difficult to seize. That's the first, that's the answer, right? One is protecting the fact that you own it. I mean, I don't know about your particular scenario, but in Florida, in America, in California and in Canada, they are piercing LLCs. They're piercing LLCs to see who owns the LLC to seize the property. So once again, the law says if it's owned by a company that they can't take it or they can't see who owns the property in the company. Yes, they fucking can. Piss them off.
Yeah.
If you piss them off, they'll throw all the rules out the window. The same reason they're going to kill me. Murder's bad. But they throw the rules out the window when you annoy them. So this is my exact point. So I just personally could never sleep at night knowing, I got 100 million in property. I'm good. Because I'd be like, I don't have anything. I have to be quiet and I have to be careful. And if they don't like me, they'll get me. That to me doesn't feel like ownership. Ownership is they can't take that off. That's true ownership. So you don't own property. It's a scam. It's a lie. To sit there and go, I'm sad and I don't feel good and I don't feel happy. Like you just sound me. I'm so important. I should be happy. What about me? How do you be depressed without narcissism? And how do you be depressed without absolute selfishness?
bad things happen to you. Bad things happen to everyone. I'm not saying you don't have a hard life. I'm not saying you shouldn't be sad. I'm not saying that. I'm saying your obsession with how you feel and no obligation or no concern for the people around you or your duties or the things you need to do is why you feel the way you feel. I find it remarkable that some of these famous people kill themselves when they have kids.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say this now. I don't care how much trouble I get in. If you're a man and you have children and you kill yourself, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You're a piece of shit. Don't care how sad you feel. You're going to abandon your children because you feel sad? Because you got a thought in your head, a feeling in your brain. You're going to abandon your kids and leave them fatherless? You're a piece of shit.
Cowardice.
You're a coward. And the fact that you will even do that shows the absolute narcissism these people operate under. That they feel like their feelings matter more than the upbringing of the children they birth. It's insane to me. And if you actually have a sense of duty and a sense of purpose beyond yourself, it's very difficult to get depressed. It's very hard for an individual ant or an individual bee to be depressed if the beehive is functioning. I can't be depressed when I'm in a matrix attack and they're trying to destroy my life and they want me to be sad. I can't be, because I have children to pay for and I have a business to run and I have employees to pay and I have things to do. I don't have time for it because I have to think about something other than myself. So I don't think depression and, in fact, we'll go back to the original point I was going to make. Depression, along with Satanism, along with a lot of these ideas, along with even the LGBTQ crap, it's all about how I feel. Yeah. It's not about how does this affect other people. We talked about Mr. Beast earlier. None of these people sit there and go, I feel like changing gender. How will this affect all the children who watch me? How will this affect society? They're so selfish. They only care about themselves. So the Matrix is trying to push selfishness. It doesn't like us to look at the fellow human and see them as something akin to ourselves, because then we're going to be harder to psyop. They only want you to care about you and only you, which is why they push the divisions, right? It's why they push racism on purpose. It's why they push the division, the political parties on purpose. They push the divisions because if we unite and start to sit and say, wait, I care about what happens to other people because of my actions, not just what happens to me, that would be a far different society. So Satanism, I think it's being pushed for the same reasons a lot of things are being pushed. I think if I was in charge of the Matrix and I had to try my very best to control everybody, the first thing I'd want to do is split them up. I'd want everybody to be selfish and self-obsessed and have their little robot at home and their little pod and obsessed with their Apple TV thing on their eyes. Bro, I see that and it scares me. I see people in public with, what are the Apple Vision Pro? Yeah. I get scared. Yeah. You've seen that, what's it called? Sora. You've seen that? That's crazy, bro. And it's still in beta testing. Imagine we're going to be 10 years from now. Yeah. And I think, personally, what I try and do is get ahead of these things. So I'm not a geek. I'm not technologically super advanced. I have a lot of people who work for me who are. So even inside the war room or inside the real world, I have people inside of my platforms whose specific job, who I pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to a month. So they're on top of these things. So we can teach it to other people. And I see something like Sora and think, okay, that can make me a lot of money if I'm ahead of the curve. So I need to get my team involved in it. We need to make a whole bunch of money. But if you're the average person at home and you're watching AI continually take over the world and you're not at least learning how to implement it so you can benefit, you're toast. You're toast. Most people are going to be replaced so quickly. I don't think the average person at home realizes how replaceable they are. I'd argue now that 80% of the normies I talk to, ChatGPT would be far more interesting than them. They're that boring. The average person at home, if they were trying to get a girl, would be better off putting ChatGPT in the combo than themselves. That's how bad they are. And they're arrogant and they're narcissistic and they think, no, I'm special. Most of you are not special. You're not. And because you're not special, you're going to be replaced by machines. And once you're replaced by machines, you're going to become useless. And you're still going to have expectations. You're still going to want to eat and you're still going to want a wage and you're still going to want a good house and a nice car. What are the elites going to do with the populace once they become completely useless and remain to be entitled? You're useless eaters. Useless eaters always end up decimated. In any period of human history, any civilization, if you had a large subsect of the populace that had no purpose, they got decimated. So if you're at home sitting there thinking, well, I can become useless and the government will just feed me, I'd argue they'll starve you to death instead because they don't need you around. And most people are going to be replaced very quickly by these machines. Sora, I said to my camera guys when I saw Sora, I was like, you're out of a job. You're fired. We started laughing about it. But it's true. And think of how fast technology advances. Where are we going to be in 20 years from now? Yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's insane. You need to get ahead of these things. it can be used for good or bad. Social media can be negative if you sit there and digest bad information, but it's also one of the reasons we managed to get to such large, such a large subsets of the population. So it can be a good thing and a bad thing. Inside the real world, inside my online university, we push AI very heavily. And I was having a conversation with someone the other day who said, oh yeah, I don't use AI because I'm a club promoter. And I said, if you're in any business in the world today, it doesn't matter if you're a plumber, it doesn't matter if you're a club promoter, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you should be learning how to implement AI, because it's going to be the people who use AI and the people who fail. Those are the only two options, which is why we teach it so heavily inside of my university. And I said to the club promoter, what do you do? He said, well, I get guys to book expensive tables at the club because I bring pretty girls to the table. And I said, okay. Well, if you had an AI machine, let's say you use Sora to put together a video of the best club night ever, and let's say you use ChatGPT to speak to lots of girls and explain what's going to happen and why they're going to have a great time at the club, and also get ChatGPT to speak to rich men and explain to them what a great time they're going to have, and you could mass speak to people at a much larger rate than you can do by yourself sitting there typing, you're going to make more money.
Yeah.
You can implement AI in club promotion. You can get the most fancy video, and you can get a ChatGPT learning bot to realize exactly, this is actually a point I want to make, to realize exactly what trigger words get the girls to want to party and what trigger words get the guy to want to spend money. And you can put together some data and you can